Welcome into the Cam and Strick podcast, episode number 45. We are at the Normal brand. This show is brought to you by CarShield, carshield.com, Bellman.com, and of course, Gadget Lab, gadgetbuyback.com. We'll tell you all about our great sponsors coming up. Cam Jansen, what's going on,
What
dude?
up, baby?
How are you, man? What's the
latest?
Are you stressed out today? You feel good?
No,
What
I'm
is
good.
it?
No. I'm good. The show's been good. Podcast's been good. Everything at home's been okay. But not everything in the world, I get that. But on my end, you're going to ask me a question. I'm not going to fucking lie to you. Like, I'm struggling. No, I'm not. Everything's good, man. Everything's good on my end.
I got to give a shout out to PK Subban because he is putting his money where his mouth is.
Fucking A is, man.
I'll give him credit
Goddamn
for that.
right. Good for him.
Give him credit.
He's a little nerdy at times, and that's fine because he's a little too much. But damn it, when he says something, he's unbelievable for hockey and for the black community in hockey. We get that, and he really does. Like, he donates, and he's like there. He's not just like tweeting something out.
Right? No, he does tweet.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, but he's
does
backing
shit.
it up.
That's what I like to see.
And I'll
All right,
give him
cool.
credit because he's not the only one making money that's putting statements out. And
Statements
he's
are only statements.
He's writing a check.
Statements are only statements.
Yeah.
When you have a poem as a statement, and you're like, as I gaze into the sunset, and I think, okay, oh, thank you. And then there's another one, the same thing. But what are you doing? Are you donating to a charity?
Right.
Are you every single
Are you
September?
getting involved? Are you handing out water?
Are you every September? You talk to your agent, you talk to your promoter, and every single training camp in every single inner city that whatever you're in Toronto, you're in St. Louis, you're anywhere. You go down, and every September in training camp, you do something in an inner city, and then you set up a hockey thing, and half of them might not like it, half of them may, but you're doing something.
Yeah. See, I look at it a couple different ways,
like
Cam.
that.
I understand you're getting a lot of statements that are coming out right now, and I respect the play. I think that's progress. A lot of hockey players are getting involved. They're speaking up. I think it's a bigger indication of the younger generation today to get involved in social media. I'd like to see them also get involved and make statements then after the Bill Peters incident. Maybe after Akeem Alou comes out with his story, which some players did. My only thing is, a lot of the statements, they sound very similar.
They do.
So I'm sure there's been
Mark
some
Twain.
assistance involved with that, whether it's through the NHLPA or whoever. And that's not what's most important. But my only thing is, I understand what people are saying, but all you have to do is just be a good person. Treat people with respect. Don't be a jerk. Be a nice guy. Don't judge people. And as long as you do that, then you're making the positive impact that you need to make. So just be a good person. That's my only advice, And
that's all we're going to say.
If you're a father or whatever, you have kids.
Talk to them.
Hey, raise your kids in an environment that's going to allow them to grow up and also be good people.
You're not born racist,
and
baby. You're taught it.
Positive impact on the community. And you can make a positive impact by just being a good person.
And I'll tell you this, I don't want to preach to people because I fucked up. I'm going to say stupid things. I'm probably going to say another stupid thing eventually. Jeez, we're on the radio and shit every second of the fucking day. Podcast, this, that, and the other.
Every second.
Well, you're not, but I am. But here's the deal.
God.
But my point is, just be a good dude. That's it. Be a good dude. That's. It's just that simple. It really is. All right. What else is going on with you, Andy Strickland? I wish there was hockey. There's not. So I don't know what else to jump into here, buddy.
Well, there's lots of stuff to get into. I don't know. They're going to have the best of 5 now in the play-in series, best of 7 in all 4 rounds. So we're starting to get through that. But again, that's so preliminary. You talk to players. I think you talk to agents too, owners, GMs, whatever, coaches. Now we're going to get into the real negotiation. Agreeing on the player format and how they're going to play. That's the easy part. Mm-hmm. Now we're going to get into the real negotiation and how we're going to make it happen into Phase 3 with training camps, into Phase 4 with the season in regard to testing and meeting the players' needs in terms of health and safety and everything. So I think this is when you truly get down to it, and we're going to really find out if we're going to see hockey this summer or not.
The good news is COVID's gone.
Where did it go?
Where'd it go?
How come no one talks about it
anymore?
How
come everybody's complaining and all of a sudden everybody's together and then what trumps what? You know what I mean? Is there not a balance? So of all the stuff that we talked about Lake of the Ozarks. I don't think there's too many cases that came out of that. So in a sense, it's good. It's a good thing, and it's a good thing. So my point is that hopefully this moves faster than we think, and then everybody it's not 6 people on the ice now. Everybody gets to go on the ice, and then You know, like it's going to be easier on Ray Barilli and these ice rinks and the players and the organizations, and we can get this thing going, knowing that everybody's been together for the past 5 days all over the world. Let's check the stats. Let's look at the percentages.
Yeah.
Let's see what the COVID data looks like. And
Aren't you interested to see?
I mean, shit,
because,
think about it,
I mean,
dude.
every major city across the country, really globally.
Globally. Amsterdam's a fucking 3 million people. Yeah.
What's the fallout going to be? I mean, are we going to have just a crazy spike?
And we get why they
coronavirus
came together,
cases?
though, but we get it. But on
But
the other
if
hand,
we don't, do we need to sit back and reevaluate where we're at?
Exactly.
And are we jumping the gun by deciding, okay, everybody's got to go to one city or 2 cities, 12 teams in one city?
it's a fucking pain in the ass.
Maybe we can have fans in the building.
There it is.
A certain percentage of fans.
Make some
Maybe you can
money
play
back.
in your own hometown. I mean, would you rather, and I understand why the National Hockey League wants to finish up the season, not only financially, but I don't think Gary Bettman wants to begin next season without fans in the stands. You know, the NHL doesn't want that. But would you rather, as opposed to finishing out the season and having everyone go to a couple of hub cities, playing a tournament, and playing games in August and September, would you prefer that and finish this season and begin next season either in December or January, or just wait another month and scratch this season and begin training camp like you normally would in September and just have a normal calendar season?
Andy.
What would you rather have?
Andy, I'm not going to lie to you, homeboy. I chirp you a lot. It's a fucking question that needs to be answered. I know a lot of people are like, well, fuck, this is going to be a cool tournament. We need something right now. I mean, right now. I think we need something right now globally as far as sports are concerned, just to ease the tension maybe. I don't know if that's a cop-out.
In May or June, then I get it. But if we're waiting until August,
Fuck, let's just...
then why don't we just wait till September?
Andy, it's hard to disagree with that. Everybody's fresh.
You know?
They're like, fuck it, okay.
But I understand from a revenue standpoint. But still,
is there that much of a revenue standpoint? At this point, they already played 70%.
I want to see hockey
80%.
as much as anybody, and I
we
can
do.
debate that with anyone. So you don't read into that. It's our livelihood. It's what we do.
No,
so I want hockey back. Believe me.
being a realist.
But I'm trying to also be a realist here, and I'm just real curious to see where we're at after you see thousands and thousands of police and
Millions,
protesters
dude.
right
Millions.
next to each other.
With no masks.
And we're either going to have a major spike and increase,
It's so
or we're
weird.
not. It's one or the other.
It's so weird, like even even California, some of the mayors of California are like, I mean, they're cracking down on no one anywhere. 4 months, blah, blah, blah. And now he's out there and he's with 1 million people and he doesn't even have a mask on. Like, what the fuck? Like, what are you trying to tell people? You're shutting down businesses and I get it because it's important, but like, where are you at now? Are you not scared? Are you more worried about the protests or coronavirus? Like, it's fucking confusing. Okay, you shut these businesses down, and now there's 1 million people together with you're not even putting a mask on, and you're shutting businesses down. I'm confused, Andy. It's so bizarre, man. But I think it's all going to change here soon.
Yeah, so, again, it's something that we're going to have to pay close attention to. And, I've said this before. I don't get the sense that players want to come back and play under the current format, even though they voted for it. I think they realize they have to.
Yeah.
For the betterment of the game, for the future of the game, they have to get back on the ice. But I don't think they want to go live in a specific city for X number of weeks, although some teams are going to go home quick if they lose in the play-in round. We understand how all that works. But players are doing this because they realize they have to for the better of hockey. But if you don't play till August, is the option of just waiting till September and beginning 2020, 2021
with fans maybe?
with fans at the regular
I don't know, man.
schedule? It's
I don't know.
something we'll have to talk
So
about.
are we, and look, like we're doing all these podcasts, by the way, fucking with nut shit going on, but somewhat pretty much negativity. So we're trying to balance this whole thing and be real. So, we're trying here, man. Like, we're not tiptoeing around anything either.
We want this to be a place where people can
Fuck.
come and get away from all the shit that they see 24/7 and just sit back and be entertained and laugh a little bit.
But that's what's going on right now. So we
it
have
is.
to break it down.
And I feel like we have.
Yeah.
We've gotten, but at the same time, people can't get away from it, Cam. They turn the news on, that's all they see.
I know.
They go to work, that's all they talk about. They turn the radio on, that's all they hear about. So again, at some point in time, they want to go somewhere where they can maybe get away from it and just, be entertained for a little bit. Tom Dundon is our guest on this edition of the Cam and Strick podcast. And, here's a guy, Cam, that he's taken a lot of heat from a lot of people. And I don't want to sit here and say I've defended him in small circles, but I've also said, listen, I've interviewed this guy, I've talked to this guy. I think he's a pretty cool dude.
He's kind of the rebel owner of the NHL.
A little bit of an outlaw.
Fuck yeah. And, I wanted to know what the hell. So funny. At the beginning, he was kind of. I think he just flew in town and he got into the car with his wife and they were driving home. That's what I figured that would happen. So you couldn't hear him and there's a lot of beeping going on. But once he got home, he probably fixed a cocktail. He was fucking awesome. And dude, how'd you become this? How does any billionaire become a billionaire?
Who's not really even a hockey fan.
How the fuck? And how do you adjust this? And do you walk in or you I'm the fucking man? No, you listen to me, or do you have to sit back and listen to everybody? We dug into him, dude. I don't care about it's what happened with how would you become a billionaire? How do you run a team like this? How do you balance everything? You're the American dream, baby. I love that shit.
Oh, my God.
And why do you not have a boat? I fucking asked him that. And he's like,
does he live on a ranch?
What the fuck's wrong with you?
Does he live on a ranch?
Jesus. Larry Robinson has a boat. Brian Giante has a boat. Get a boat, Tommy.
Those are upcoming guests, by the way. Yeah. You did ask him if he lives on a ranch. He doesn't live on a ranch.
No,
because he lives in Texas.
I don't give a shit. How do I not ask you if you don't live on are you not on a ranch with black stallions with no shirt on, cruising around wrangling up cows and shit? I'd do that.
Yeah.
With wolves as pets.
But you know what? He came into the Carolina Hurricanes, and he made some real difficult decisions. The GM, the head coach, are among the lowest paid head coaches and GMs in the league, if not the lowest paid. And a lot of people chirp him for that. The way he came in and made the change with Ron Francis, who's a legend in Carolina, as you know, Cam, people chirped him for that. But then he talks about how, listen, he just gave him a recommendation to the team in Seattle where Ron Francis is now managing. But the reality is here, people think they kind of know Tom Dundon. I don't think you really know him. And hopefully this interview, this conversation gives you a better glimpse inside the head of Tom Dundon.
We get everybody on, baby.
Because he's cool, man. I think he's cool. And he's going about it his own way. And you can't deny the results that he's had in a short period of time with the Hurricanes.
We did ask him, I go, the guys probably don't like acting like they're a fucking bowling pin after a game, and but it works. Hey, and sometimes you got to suck it up when you're a small market.
Remember when I was texting with him and I asked him to come on, and he said, I don't do a whole lot of interviews since we became relevant. And what did you say?
I don't remember.
You said, tell them they're still not relevant.
Oh, shit, I did say that. Oh, I did. And he fucking beaked me hardcore, too, I think, in this interview. He's like, you are an attention whore.
And, oh, yeah. He was funny.
Kind of, I guess.
But what you're saying is, though, when he came on board, whether it's from, the bunch of jerks and all that stuff they do after games and everything, people are talking about the Carolina Hurricanes where they really weren't before he got there.
Fuck no, man.
Right?
No. Hurricanes are playing Florida tonight. I'm not watching.
I love how I ask him, what's your take on how much head coaches and GMs should be paid? Because obviously there's a market for a lot of these guys. And he's like, I don't give a crap what other teams pay their guys. I know what I want to pay my guys. I know what guys should make in our market.
He's fucking business, right?
He's a businessman. I think of more people. I'm not saying underpaid their coaches and GMs because these guys deserve to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
You just look here in St. Louis, you see the impact that those two guys have on the organization here. They deserve what they're making. But at the same time, I think every market is based on a different, just like you pay your players differently in one market versus the next. Not everybody has the same amount of funds to pay their players, Cam. Who knows? Maybe if you would have played in Toronto, you would have made more than you made here in St. Louis.
Well, who knows? If I would have scored 50 a year, I would have paid more. Fucking
who knows? If you were better, you would have made more money.
Dude, I'm unbelievable now. That's all that matters. I haven't skated in 5 months, but I know I'm going to fucking dominate.
People used to try to chirp Big Walt for how much money he made. And he used to say, play better.
Play better, you fucking idiot. Here, take a hundo.
Play better.
You'll be throwing hundos out like it's going on.
Then maybe you'll make more money.
You'll make it rain your fucking face.
Yeah, no doubt.
Then I'll pick it up. Thanks, Walt.
Hey, have you ever heard of Car Shield?
Why don't you talk in the mic?
Have you ever heard of CarShield?
Yes, I have. I just signed up, baby. Yeah.
Man, you got to get your protection. Cam signed up. I want to hear from the list. Anybody out there who signed up? What's your experience been like?
They do so much for St. Louis and hockey community in St. Louis. They do so much for so many different people. It's such an easy thing to do. You pay every month, not much, and they take care of you. It's a pretty fucking great gig right here.
800-857-2481, 800-857-2481, carshield.com. Get your protection today. You have an engine that goes out, computer goes out. Don't get stuck with a bill charging you thousands and thousands of dollars.
For nothing.
Get some coverage. Pick where you want your car taken to. They'll even hook you up with a rental car. Again, 800-857-2481. Of course, Bellman.com. Get yourself a new ride. They got the Cadillac, Buick, GMC on one side, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram on the other side. Located in Troy, Missouri for you folk that are here in Missouri. Okay?
Can I say something?
Get out to Troy.
Can I say something? I'll be raw. I know Dan doesn't care about this, but I'll be raw. If I want my wife to walk into a car dealership to look for new Jeeps or whatever, because that's what we're going to do, I don't want her walking in with 15 swinging fucking dicks coming out like, when you go to Bellman, it's the sweetest thing in the world. They walk in, it's comfortable. My wife can go there without me. No one 15 dudes surround you like psychopath. No, get away from my wife, nutbag. She knows what she wants. Stop creeping her out. Bellman's not like that.
No.
It's the nicest. No. You walk in, it's classy, it's cool. They understand it. They're sweet to anybody. For me, I could walk in, I'll be like, get out of my face, baby. Get out of my face. My wife's not going to do that. I want her to be comfortable. That's why she goes to Bellman, baby.
So get comfortable. That should be the new slogan.
Swinging dicks
You want to be
everywhere.
comfortable? Bellman.com in Troy. Again, BEHLMANN. Put that second N on Bellman.com. Our newest sponsor. These guys are unbelievable. I already got feedback from people asking, who's this? I need exactly what you're talking about with GadgetBuyback.com.
Andy, when I get out of my truck and my phone drops and it cracks into a million pieces, which it happens about once every 2 weeks, I'm like, what the fuck do I do now? I send it to them. They'll fix it in 2 seconds. Yeah. You want to send it in your own phone? If you're a company, you have to hand out all these different iPads to iPhones to anything. The other gadgets that have nothing to do with Apple, anything. You send them back to them. They'll buy it from you guys. Yep. They'll take it off your hands. Technology, it ages, but not for them. They'll buy it off you. It's unbelievable. I know your phone looks like shit right now, and it's making the podcast look bad, Andy. You got cracks out the fucking wazoo.
It's a nice phone, though.
Send it to them. What's wrong with you? You're making the fucking podcast look bad.
It's the screen.
The screen looks like shit. It's not classy.
All right.
That's not classy. We're classy around here.
GadgetBuyback.com. And just figure it out. If you're a company out there, you got old phones, turn them in.
Figure it out.
Figure it out.
Seriously.
Let's go. Don't be walking around with a cracked phone.
You look like an idiot. I don't want to go near you.
So trade in your old phone or tablet. If you broke your phone, check it out, GadgetBuyback.com. They have one store in St. Louis. They're about to have a ton more.
Oh, God, yeah.
You can go to GadgetLabMobile.com to find information about their local store here in Oakville. GadgetBuyback.com or GadgetLabMobile.com. So be sure to check that out and support all the sponsors that we have here on the Cam and Strick podcast. All right, who we got? Tom Dundon, the owner of the Carolina Hurricanes, the first billionaire, but not the last.
That's what we do.
To join us on the Cam and Strick podcast. So Cam played in the National Hockey League, just so you know. He was a fighter. He was a tough guy. So they're getting
hard worker.
They're getting rid of guys like him, you know. So
yeah, got to be able to score 20 for us.
Well, I do now in the alumni games. I'll tell you that.
You dominate. You know, one of the reasons I liked Rod is when they had the alumni game, his team won every year, and I was like, that's my kind of guy.
How well did you know Rod? I mean, listen, I want to know so much about you, but when you took over Carolina, you bought the team. Like, did you know who any of these people were? Had you met them? When was the first time you met some of these guys that were running the organization?
I went to a preseason game, and, they walked me through the locker room, and I remember Rod was sitting there they had a real small little cubbyhole office that they were all in, and he looked up and he kind of scared me a little bit. He's kind of that square jaw and just kind of looked at me like, what's this guy doing in our office, you know? So I didn't really know him when I bought the team, but as you know, during the time between the time you agree to buy it and closing, you start to get to know some people a little bit.
Did he have his shirt on during that time, by the way?
Was he working out?
Yeah.
That
No, but he does that a lot. You know, he uses the facilities for sure. But
Yeah.
no, at that point he was fully closed.
Oh, right. Would have scared you even more if he had his shirt off. That guy he could probably still play now, actually. And I think that helps when you're a player and you see how in shape your coach is, and it just gives him an added on respect. But did you grow up watching hockey? I mean, what was your childhood like? What did your parents do growing up? Was hockey a big part of your life or not?
Yeah, you know, I grew up on the East Coast, and we actually watched the New York Rangers when I was a kid, and you know the Miracle on Ice stuff was when I was like 9 years old, so that's a big part of my childhood. So I always watched it. I've never played hockey, and you know, I was just a fan. Moved to Dallas and sort of grew up with them, and then you know, didn't know anything about the Carolina Hurricanes. So I didn't even know they were in Raleigh, to tell you the truth.
Neither did I.
Neither did I. Until you bought the team, Tom.
Exactly.
Actually, they won the Stanley Cup several years ago. We did watch that because Dougie Waite got traded from St. Louis.
They beat us second round,
and
baby.
he won a Stanley Cup and had his cup party here in St. Louis. The first time I ever had a picture taken or drank out of the cup was at Dougie Waite's cup party years ago. But
Nice.
What was your thought process? Because you're a business guy. You've obviously been super successful. The first billionaire we've had on the Cam and Strick podcast. Won't be the last, but the first billionaire we've had on the Cam and Strick podcast. So what made you think this was going to be a good investment to buy an NHL team in Raleigh, North Carolina?
I didn't really. I didn't think it was a good idea at all, but I was always been interested in doing it. And so I did it not for the investment thesis was not good at all. It was more just something I thought I'd enjoy, and I have. It's been great.
So you have enjoyed it. So you gotten. I mean, what's your favorite part about it? I mean, is owning a professional sports team everything you thought it would be? And what people on the outside to think about running a professional sports team, that's a dream for a lot of people, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, it was something. I was really lucky to be able to do it, and yeah, it was something I was always interested in. It would have never been something. I didn't grow up in this situation where it would have been something to even consider. And so it probably didn't even become something I thought was possible until the last 10 years. And it's probably a little more frustrating than I thought. You know, when you lose, it's so difficult. And, you know, I tend to think people should be happy in life and be happy with what you have and enjoy things every day. And it's really hard to live that theory after you lose.
I bet Cam would know something about that. Mm-hmm. How'd you make your money, Tom? Like, where'd you make your fortune?
Fortune.
Hey, that's my sophisticated way of saying your wealth, your money.
Yeah. I was in the finance business, so mostly financed auto loans and credit cards, and then had some other different investments along the way that did okay on.
What was your first impression of the National Hockey League? Because one thing I got to give you a lot of respect for, Tom, you came in and you said, you know what, I'm going to do things my way, not necessarily do things the way everybody else wants me to do it or how they think they, you know, or thinking the way that they've done it for years is the right way. And you kind of gone about it your own way. What gives you the confidence or gave you the confidence to believe that it would work?
Well, yeah, that's a pretty good question because I, you know, probably didn't think it through like that. Like, is my way better? And I wasn't trying to necessarily do it my way as much as what I thought. I think common sense works pretty good in life. And, you know, for me, the team that we took over didn't have a lot of success. So I didn't have a lot of downside, right? Like how bad could it be if I just tried it my way? And I knew my way worked in other things, and I just assumed it would work here, but there was clearly no guarantees. And I got really lucky because, you know, the team had a lot of good young players, and, you know, Brindamore was in the building because I'm not sure that was a well planned out thing, right? It was kind of lucky that he was there, and I think he's one of the most important parts of how this has transitioned for us. So, and you know, the other is the Hurricanes brand wasn't great. They didn't have a lot of success, and you hockey probably needed a little more focus on entertainment and a little less focus on the way it used to be. And I think that was probably an easy thing to figure out.
So what do you mean by that? Like more fan engagement, entertainment than maybe per se the breaking down the game. Like you want to come to the rink, you want to put on a show and a game as well. And what was the first couple things that you did? Did you put a new jumbotron in? Like what were the big things that you needed, especially for that PNC rink?
Yeah, I mean, look, one of the first, probably the only meeting I've ever had with the actual team was when I just bought the team and just said, look, we're in the entertainment business. These people pay a lot of money to come see you, and you're going to have to engage back. And if that's a problem for you, like the things we're going to want to do, you got to come talk to me, and we'll find somewhere else for you to be where you're more comfortable with the way they're going to do things. But this is how we're going to do it, and our guys have been great about it, right? And I wasn't trying to be threatening. It was just the facts, right? We're in the entertainment business. That's what it is. They pay you to play hockey, and we have to appreciate what they do. And we had to give the fans more access to our product. One, the product had to be better, and two, we had to give them more access to our players. And then we had to do a better job with the parking and the traffic and the pricing and, all the things that you'd expect that you'd have to change. And the Jumbotron, that we got that done. I mean, I had to appreciate the city because they own the building and they put that in, and those kind of things help, right?
It's a big deal.
Well, they did the same thing here. I mean, they did the same thing here. They've done so many renovations to the building, just enhancing the overall fan experience. I'm curious because you said you didn't know much about the Carolina Hurricanes. So what'd you do the first couple months? You just sit back and evaluate? And if you didn't know much about these guys, like how difficult was it to truly get a gauge of what you had?
Yeah, I talked to lots of people and read everything I could. And you guys know, right? You can tell who the stars are, no matter what sport it is. You don't have to play basketball to know LeBron James is pretty good at it. And so that was kind of what I looked at is there's a couple players that are special, and we didn't have enough of those. And then there's a lot of really good character, hardworking people that they matter, but if you have too many of those and not enough of the special ones, it's really hard to compete in the NHL. And so that was my goal is if Rod could change the culture, which I had no doubt he could do that. And there were a lot of good people and pieces there. They just needed a little bit of help, right? To make it fair and maybe to gain an advantage. And that was the goal. So it's just trying to figure out who were the stars and make sure if we didn't have enough of them, and how do we get a couple more of those? And then we won the lottery, right? So we got a lot smarter.
You get the Russian man, Svechnikov. He's a good player. Baby. As long as he doesn't mess with Ovechkin. Just don't drop the gloves with Ovechkin.
He tried to throw down the pipe, though. You got to give him respect for that.
He did. And now, and he's a showman, man. He puts on – I love the fact that he's got freedom to be able to do his thing offensively.
Confidence.
And utilize his skills, man. I mean, he's a guy you can market around, right?
Absolutely, yeah. He's a star for sure, and he's just a good person. He's a good kid. He's a hard worker. So yeah, we're really lucky with him. And I agree with you. We want him scoring, not fighting. So hopefully that's the last time you see that.
Well, he's got to stick up for himself sometimes, and if he didn't get caught there, he's still taking Ovechkin off the ice, I guess. But I guess the guys, they're not in the spotlight down there. They don't walk down the street and probably don't get recognized much. So I guess that's kind of. It takes a little bit load off their back a little bit if they want to go out with their families and things like that. But how do they accept taking on a little bit extra, maybe after the game, maybe acting like a bowling pin once in a while, or acting like you're playing baseball? Were the guys very accepted about that? Were they like, okay, yeah, we understand that we want to bring the fans in? How did that all start, and how are the players about the whole thing too?
Yeah, I think it was Willie, and I think because he's been there a long time, one, he's a really smart guy who kind of gets it, right? Yeah. So he kind of understands the role that the players have in the community and with the fans, and he makes Raleigh his home and wanted the thing that's been great about Brind'Amour and Justin Williams is they care about the Carolina Hurricanes, and the truth is there weren't a lot of people of their in their genre that you could say that about. Hang on one second. I'm
You're
sorry.
good, man. You're good.
You're good. That's the power of editing.
He's in a spaceship right now, I think.
Okay, sorry about that.
You're good, man.
I thought you were going up the space shuttle.
Yeah.
They canceled that yesterday. I thought maybe you're going up today.
Testing it out.
Yeah. Was it going? Yeah, I'm trying to get out of a parking garage. It's hard to figure out.
You're good.
Make a left.
Yeah, I did. I got it. So I think Willie and them realized we needed to do things, and that was definitely something they came up with and did on their own. And I don't really know what the rest of them thought, right? Like, he got them all to do it, and I've never heard no one's ever said to me they didn't like doing it. And I just appreciate that they do it, and I'm glad they still do, because it's, for the Carolina Hurricanes, right? We don't have a lot of things that are ours, or a lot of things that we get talked about, and you got to start changing that. And it started off with that, and then hopefully eventually it's because we won a lot.
The Cam and Strick podcast is brought to you by CarShield. Nothing more frustrating, Cam, than when that engine light comes on and right off the bat you're going to have to spend thousands of dollars to repair your vehicle. Call 800-857-2481. Mention the promo code CAM or visit carshield.com and use the code CAM to save 10%. Yeah. That's carshield.com. A deductible may apply. Save yourself money. Sign up and get your coverage now with carshield.com. Now back to the interview.
Well, Don Cherry hooked you up, too, by criticizing you.
He made some money.
And
I
will say this. As a player, they probably don't like it. We'll be honest here. After they get done playing a hardcore game, their thumb hurts, their head hurts. They're like, I got to act like a bowling pin. They probably don't like it, but they understand why they do it, and they do it anyway because they understand it's for the fans. But I don't know. It's good. It gets a lot of attention. You got to do that, and the guys accept it, and it's a cool thing to see.
Yeah, I think what was interesting is the way it ended up playing out. They'd be down there kind of coming up with it. So for a while there, for sure, they got into it, and I actually think they did like it. Whether or not, the 100th time you do it.
They kept winning.
We'll have to see. Yeah. And I've had some players on other teams that, you meet in different social situations say, yeah, when we go there, we want to make sure y'all don't do that. So for me, I want to be that team. When I first bought the team, I remember the first year, and I didn't take over until it was halfway through the year. And it was pretty obvious we weren't quite good enough. And it's not that we weren't good, because everybody in the NHL is good, but we definitely weren't scaring anybody. And you could see the other teams like Boston and Pittsburgh, the first couple periods they were playing, and then they decided it was time to win. And you could see it, and you could see that we weren't quite up to that. And now it's the exact opposite, right? Everybody, I think we get as good as most people have most nights because they finally respect the players and the effort. And so I would rather be that, right? So when they come there, they're coming with their best, and we want to be in that genre, right? We want to be in that club, and it's way better that people are trying a little harder to beat you than they know they can beat you as soon as they try harder, right? So I kind of like the transition.
All right, let's go back to when you took over, Tom. And listen, Ron Francis, jersey hanging from the rafters, obviously a popular figure there, but you decided you had to make a change with your general manager. You eventually fired him, from what I understand. What was that like? Was that a ballsy decision? Did you feel like it would create as much controversy, or as many people would have an opinion about it as they did?
Yeah, I try not to make decisions based on what the rest of the world would think, because you just got to do what's right, to what you think gives you the best chance to win. And I hated it, right? I don't want things not to work out with people. And he and I tried, and we just weren't the right fit. He's a smart guy. He did a really good job, and we'd have been fine with him too. I think it just, for whatever reason, our styles just don't mesh. And I think he's going to do a great job. When he was being interviewed for Seattle, I gave him, to the extent people asked me, I said really good things because I believe those things. And it was just more about the fit between our styles. So yeah, I didn't think of it in terms of if it was popular or not. I just thought of it better like, I did this because I want to enjoy it and be happy. And, you want to work with people that want to work with you and kind of create the chemistry all the way through the organization. And so that was more of how it didn't work out than anything else.
So you had hockey people reporting to you. And listen, I know you probably heard the rumblings. Who is this Tom Dundon guy? He doesn't know the game. He's not a hockey guy. How did you navigate through that? Did that bother you at all?
No, not really, because, I know the truth, right? Like it's not like I call Rod and say, do this or do that. I ask questions. And if I wouldn't do anything without Rod and Don and Guy Eric Tolsky and Darren York and, our AHL coach and Tim Gleason and Sergei Samsonov. Like, we have a bunch of really smart hockey guys that are good guys that care about the team and the process, and we're all agree on how we should do things, but no one has unilateral authority. And maybe I do, but I would never use it, right? Like that's not to me the way you're successful. And so it hasn't ever come up, right? Like it's not like I said, oh, I want to make this trade and I just told everybody we're doing it, make it work, right? That's just not what happens. And so it's never bothered me. It's never really bothered me what people write because I know what happens, right? I know what the truth is.
I think you should make trades. I think you should just go in there.
I think you should put your foot down. Seriously.
Just start making, wheeling and dealing.
I run the show.
Hey, but what about even the radio guy who had been there a long time, Chuck Caton? And I know that got a lot of reaction, mostly from people in my industry who have been covering the NHL for a long time who know Chuck. Was it about just kind of moving on from the old guard and just creating a new vibe with the organization? What was your thought process there?
No, you know what? It's interesting you say it that way because that was my thought when I got there. And I said, boy, you just don't want to hire – if someone's a really good hockey player, what's the chance they're also a really good coach? Like that'd be really lucky for that person. And then I didn't want to hire somebody who's a really good player to be the coach. And I also – really didn't want anybody who had been part of sort of the last 8 or 10 years of what that brand had become. I didn't think that was a good idea either. And I changed my mind on both those things with Rod. And so a lot of the people we still have were there, right? There wasn't as much turnover as, you read about 1 or 2 people, but the truth is most of the people that were there are still there. They're good, hardworking people that care, and they've been great. On the radio thing, before I got there, they had talked about doing some sort of extension with the radio guy. And I live in Dallas where they've got this Daryl Ray, who I think is awesome.
Yep.
And they always simulcast. And so when I got there, I said, oh, you have separate radio and TV people. Cause my experience was that was one guy. And I think Forsland and Trip Tracy are really good. So my first thing is, well, why do we have 2? There must be a good reason. And then when I found out how many people actually listen to the radio and what it costs to put on that radio product versus simulcasting, who I think are, someone really good at this, that was more the reasoning. It wasn't anything against Chuck. I thought Chuck was really good too. It's just like we have kind of Forsland and Tracy were already doing a job, and I felt, and when you looked at what it cost you to produce a second show, that wasn't necessarily any better than what you already had, right? Not that it wasn't really good, it's just already had something really good. So it was nothing more than that, but it had nothing to do with the fact that he had been there a long time. The fact that he had been there a long time was the reason I tried to make it work. Like it wasn't like I just walked in and said, get rid of the guy. Like we tried to come up with solutions to make it work, and it didn't end up working out, but mostly just because I don't need 2 products to explain one game.
Yeah, no, that's
business,
fair.
Baby.
That's
business.
fair. It's all business, man. And you know a thing or two about business. I'm curious what you think about salaries in the National Hockey League, specifically on the hockey side. Head coaches, general managers. I mean, the numbers continue to go up. And, rumors have it that, your coach is among the lowest paid. He may or may not be. You can clarify that with us. Same thing with the general manager. Like, as a business guy, how do you view where salaries are going and how much these guys should be paid and relative to the rest of the market?
Yeah, I try not to. I've never really looked at the market. I kind of look at what someone's worth to us, and our situation's different than other team situations. And I'm more likely to give somebody a chance that I think has a lot of talent that maybe doesn't have the resume, rather than paying for the resume. And so, you add all those things up. But I ran a decent sized company for a long time, and I never really lost people that I wanted to not lose over money. And so to me, every decision is an individual decision, and sometimes you have to pay more. And if that's what you have to do to get the person you want, then I'll do that if I think I can get enough value to justify that cost. But yeah, I could care less what someone pays their coach. It doesn't cross my mind, really. I don't do a market study to figure out what I should pay somebody. I figure out what it's worth to me within our context, and if that works for the person and we can get it done, then I'm happy, and I'm real happy with the people we have.
You know what? I have the same viewpoint. That's why I pay Andy like $25 a week. That's all.
He doesn't pay me.
It is what. What are your hobbies?
It's a privilege.
Man? It's like I think of you, and I picture you in a where do you live in North Carolina? You got a big log cabin looking over the.
He's in Dallas. He said.
Yeah, but you still got to live in North Carolina too, though,
yeah,
right?
No.
You're just in Raleigh. Like you got a house there.
He flies in and flies out.
Oh,
he's
okay.
a baller.
Yeah.
I figured you have a nice log cabin looking over. If not, just lie to me anyway, because I got that vision in my head.
No, I got nothing. I got to stay in hotels when I go there. Although my son's going to go to school in Carolina next year, so if he really wanted me to come hang out with him a lot, I'd probably get a place. But I don't think that's going to happen, so I may just have to stay with the hotel.
I bet you he will invite you down once in a while. Let's go out to dinner tonight. Well, so tell me, you living in Dallas, you hanging out. Mark Cuban. You know any other owners?
Jerry Jones, the whole
Jerry
crew
Jones,
there.
The whole crew. There's some big dogs there. You hang out with any of those guys?
Yeah, I know those guys. Part of those were that was what I've watched the last 20 years, right, in terms of pro sports ownership. So when you ask, why do I do it the way I do it? Well, both of them, I think, figured out a long time ago that they're in the marketing and entertainment business, right? And so I probably had role models that aren't as traditional in hockey, right?
Yeah.
Where to me, that's just normal to try to build the kind of culture that we're trying to build with the Hurricanes, sort of watch what those guys do. But they're just really good guys that work hard, care about their teams, and, probably same thing. What people think about them or the perception in the media is pretty far from the actual truth. But I don't know that, at least in Jerry's case, I think he, at least in Dallas, it seems like people think that he just does things unilaterally, which just isn't true, I don't think.
He does a lot of interviews, though. He's always in the spotlight. I mean, would you want to be that
He
way?
does post-game interviews.
Dude, they go to him for, injury reports. Would you want to be that guy in the spotlight all the damn time?
No, I mean, your guy here wore me out on this deal because when I first got here, I looked around and realized there wasn't really anything to sell, right? And so I had to do more interviews and be more out front. And now that the team, between the coach and the players, what I think where we're headed, I've tried to really pull back and get out of the middle of that. No one wants to hear from me, and they shouldn't. They should want to hear from the players and the coach. And so I feel an obligation to the extent that, if the local radio station wants me to come on, then I should do that. But I wouldn't have a weekly radio show, because to me that weekly radio show needs to be there's 40 other people in the organization that should be doing that. And so that's probably the difference is I do it because I feel an obligation to do it, but I really don't like it. It's not that I don't like you guys or people who are talking about hockey. I do.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't like the attention. I'd rather watch from behind and cheer.
Yeah.
Cam and Strick podcast here for our boy Dan Bellman with Bellman.com.
Yeah, baby.
You need some new wheels? Why not get a Cadillac, a Buick, a GMC? Head out to Troy today. And again, don't forget about Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram right across the street.
No doubt.
Right there in Troy, Missouri. Visit them online. Check out their new selection, the pre-owned selection, the best service you will find anywhere in the country. Bellman.com. BehlMann.com. get yourself some new wheels in time for the summer.
Yeah.
Now back to the interview.
I'm an attention whore, so I'm complete opposite.
Yeah,
of you.
I could tell.
Hey, but what do you take out of Cuban though, and Jerry Jones? I mean, you're there in the mix, like in Dallas, and there's so much money in Dallas. I mean, it's like
so fun
there's
down
like a million of you guys like just hanging out, like building $20 million houses. So
Ranches.
So what do you take out of Mark Cuban in terms of how he runs the Mavericks? He's a mega celebrity. Jerry Jones, I mean, who's just chilling on his yacht during the NFL draft. I mean, what do you take from those guys in terms of how they run their individual teams, seeing it up close and personal?
I think mostly, because you don't really, the day-to-day stuff, nobody really knows. I'm pretty confident that I know that, they're probably follow the same philosophy I mentioned earlier, right? You get a lot of good people and you push them, but ultimately you don't override them. Like if 10 people in the basketball organization want to go one way, I don't think Mark would contradict that, right? But if it's 50-50, then maybe he has to step in. But I think the main thing is just they're so good at understanding that they're in the entertainment business and how they take care of their sponsors. They try to make sure if someone sponsors their team or has a marketing agreement with their team that they give them more than what they contracted for. And, I think those are the things that are important from my role, right? My role is more about how do I build the brand and help us get the resources so the Hurricanes can maximize their probabilities on the ice, right? Like once they're coached and they start playing, I have nothing to do with it, just like they don't.
Yeah, and every sport's different too. But let me ask you this: and besides owning an NHL team and multiple companies and this and that, and I know you don't have a place in North Carolina, which is a little disappointing in my opinion, but but you do live in Dallas. Like, what are your hobbies, man? Are you a hunter now that you live in Dallas? My visual is like Legends of the Fall. Are you riding around on horseback, cruising around, like going to picnics, in the
line
middle?
dancing?
Like, hey, tell me, are you riding bulls? Like, what do you got? Do you have a ranch down there? Give me your setup.
Yeah. No, so I'm not into all that stuff. So no, I have no ranch, no horses, no guns. Although
Lie to me.
I do. I have a gun because when this whole thing started a couple months ago, my wife was like, "What happens if we can't get food and water?" So I had somebody that works for me was in the armed services and
get me a gun now.
Do you know how to use
I
it?
got a gun.
Do you know how to use it?
Hell no. No, I don't know how to use it. I wouldn't even know. I don't even know where we put it, to tell you the truth. But so no guns.
I'm scared too,
yeah,
man.
no guns. What do? I play golf. I play pickleball. You ever heard of pickleball?
Oh my God, I play pickleball all the time, man. Great workout.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
God.
You don't even know.
Pickleball.
It's a great workout. It's like miniature tennis, right?
Yeah.
Thank
you.
you.
Do that. I play tennis. I play. What else I do? Hang out with my kids. I think about how we can have a more relevant, better hockey team a lot, and then I think about some of my little business deals.
We can tell you that, by the way.
Tell me, what should we do? What do y'all think we should do?
We'll break that down.
We'll break that
down.
down.
We do every single day.
That's for after the show. That's for after the show. But now that your son is now that your son is going to college, man, and all these pictures of your setup that you have in Dallas with the indoor and outdoor tennis court and the slide that apparently goes from the second floor to the first floor, Cam and I can just come chill. That's where we're going to come give you our ideas.
I told him.
Okay?
We love it down there. And you know what? I could go over there and hunt the boars that come to the property and mess up your gardens and things like that. I watched that show as well.
Hey, but you know what? We've had Eddie Belfour on the podcast, and we've also had Mike Madonna on the podcast. We know Brett Hall very well, and we know Brendan Morrow too. Apparently, like, are these your boys or what? Aren't you hanging out with these guys or a bunch of these hockey players or no?
Morrow, I've known Morrow for a long time just from playing golf. So I know Madonna and Hull just in passing, nice guys, but they go a little harder than me.
I know
I don't have that in me. You hockey guys, they can go a little bit.
They can go, can't they? They can go, can't
I
they?
can't keep up.
Yeah, me neither.
So I might play golf with one of these guys and then I go home.
Tell us about your golf course, though. I mean, you get some big dogs out there and some big tournaments.
I don't know. I mean, we did it kind of for charity, and it's nice. It's golf's all about the same, right? If you're with your buddies, you should be able to go anywhere you want and have fun. So it's not I don't think any golf courses are really that special. I think it's more about who you're with and the environment, but it's a nice place.
I was reading this story about, when you went to Peter Carmanos to buy the Carolina Hurricanes, eventually, after your first meeting, right, it didn't really necessarily go that well, and then you came back to him, and you said that's the first time you ever went back for a deal. Explain what you meant by that.
Yeah, when you're running a company and you're doing different deals, I always felt like if I said I'm not going to do any more than this, then I had to stay with that, because if the people that worked for me figured out that I would change my mind, then it sort of makes it harder to get anything done at the right levels. And so I just always had that philosophy that, whatever I say I'm going to do is what I'm going to do. And if the other side doesn't want to do it, it's okay. But, I left after the deal died for however long, a week or two. And, I had a few people kind of tell me, like, what was the point of making money if you were going to get smart overspending it, and why not do what you think you really want to do that sounds like fun and you think will make you happy? And so I swallowed my pride.
We got a couple more for you, man. I know you're probably pretty busy. You got a couple things on the
bull.
docket. You own a team. You got a golf cart. Like, I don't know how you're even doing this, and we appreciate it. But when did you first start making good money? Was it after college? Like, when were you like, okay, now I'm going here. Now I got my rhythm. It's starting to come in. Like, when did that all take place? Young age?
No. I think when I met my wife, I was 27 or so when we met, and I think I had lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. I had literally no money. I had paid off all my student loans. And we had a decent business that looked like it had potential, but it wasn't. It was just that. It was just potential. And
yeah.
I think in my young 30s it started to be pretty good, and probably by the time I was 40 I knew I had gotten pretty lucky. So probably just in the last 10 years where it was a material change from anything that you could plan, right? Like I wouldn't have known how the world that I'm now a part of was, right? Like, it wouldn't have made sense to me. I wouldn't even known anybody who was experiencing these kind of things, and so it was all new to me. And obviously I'm very lucky, but it's not really that much different, right? It's like you're fortunate enough to be able to have a team, but if I didn't own the team and the teams I rooted for, I still hated when they lost too, right? So it's not that much different, I don't think.
Well, I will say this. I did look you up today, and I saw a picture of you, and it actually made me depressed, because I'm like, now I have NHL owners that look younger than I do, and it's fucking depressing. I'm sorry. My God almighty. I'm 36. But I looked at you, I'm like, oh my God, you look young. My God,
must be a good picture.
It was a great picture. Yeah. It was when you're in your ranch in the beautiful estate.
I don't have a ranch.
It's my imagination talking again.
Hey, what was the first meeting with Gary Bettman like for you? What were your first impressions of that?
I think I flew to New York. I actually like Gary a lot.
Likewise.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled with it today, but I still like it.
We got to talk about that.
At it. Yeah, we probably don't, but yeah,
we had been easy on you.
Yeah, but no, I've really enjoyed Gary. I think he does a really good job. He's super smart. I think he's good at what he does for sure.
Hey, how does a situation like this with the pandemic and now hockey being played deep into the summer and the Carolina Hurricanes, a non-traditional hockey market, as you know, how does that impact your fan base and just the overall affection for the game, taking this time off when you guys are having a competitive season, and then now with the format moving into the summer if they come back and play?
Yeah, I don't, it's hard to know, right? Because I guess no one really knows. I'm assuming we were doing pretty well in terms of fan interest. I think when I bought the team, we had 6,000 season ticket holders, or maybe a little less, and we're on our way to 12 going into next year, and that's a big move, and that's because the players create an environment that people care about now. And so, yeah, it would have been great to have. We felt pretty good about the playoff chances we had, and it would have been nice to have done it more traditionally than what's happening now. But I still think it's good that you're in it, right? It's good that we're going to be playing and it's relevant. People get to watch it, and you didn't lose everything we've built so far. So now it's just we have to see what happens.
Well, what would you change if you could?
We've got 2 hours, Tom. Go ahead.
Yeah. What do you mean? Give me a more specific question so I don't get in trouble.
What would you change? Like, what don't you like about it? If you could change anything, if it was that easy, what would you change as an owner?
You mean about the current situation?
About the current situation.
The 24-team format.
About the 24-team format that was laid out by Bettman the other day.
Yeah, I think our players were on this, and some other people were too. I think our only change would be if there would have been a way to keep where you were and then play the games, play X number of more games, so make sure everybody had a chance that was close. And that's not what they went with, and so it's not the end of the world, right? But that was it, is if you could have come back with 2022, 24 teams, but started where you were. So if you look at those top 4 teams just playing for seeding now, a team like Boston was going to be the number 1 seed, right?
I know.
Now they might not be, and that was my only thought. But once again, it's not my choice, it's not my call, and it's not that big of a deal at the end of the day, right? Like, we get to play, and now you just got to win.
Did you know your players were going to vote no?
I knew there were a lot of discussions. I didn't know there was a vote, to tell you the truth. I knew there were just a lot of discussions, and that I think there are a lot of people that thought you should come up with a system that continues, in essence, finishing out the regular season. Some people thought you should go directly to the playoffs with 16 teams, and there was ideas in between. And this was the one that won out, and it'll be great TV. And it doesn't matter why or how anymore, right? Now it just matters that this is what it is, and the rules are the rules, right? Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't. That's what's hard about answering questions about what I would have done, because it doesn't matter.
Maybe it's a dumb question.
Right? Well, it's not the first time he asked a stupid question.
I'm not a journalist. I'm sorry about that.
You get one or two of those a show.
I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish.
Well, the only thing is, what I had been pushing for an expanded playoff just in general. I think it's a great idea. So I wouldn't necessarily have pushed for it in the middle of a season, but if this works and going into next year, there's a couple more teams and like a wild card round, I think it's pretty compelling. So I'm just hopeful that maybe we learn, if nothing else, we learn something here, right? That maybe we can continue to make our product better. And this gives us a test that we might not have had.
Andy Strickland and Cam Jansen here for you for GadgetBuyback.com. Gadget Lab, they got a store here locally if you're in St. Louis, 5541 Telegraph Road. Here's the deal. You got an old phone, maybe a cracked tablet. Maybe it's perfect, but it's a little bit older. Turn it in right now. www.gadgetbuyback.com. Upgrade your devices, phones, computers, watches.
Anything.
Doesn't have to be Apple either.
No.
Get those tablets turned in. Again, www.gadgetbuyback.com, 877-772-8880. Now back to the interview.
Yeah.
Did it piss you off that the test results, or not the test results, but the voting results are made public? Because it kind of made your team look a little bit bad. And to be honest, on the outside, it's a little surprising when you consider Raleigh and Carolina. It's a small market. And for the future and the overall health of the league and the team, I mean, you got to come back and play, even if you don't like it right now, just thinking about the next couple years down the road, right?
No, I don't. None of this stuff pisses me off, because I don't care as much, like I said earlier, like what people say. Like, for me, what pisses you off is when no one talks about you, right? When you're irrelevant. When I got here and we were irrelevant, that pissed me off. Like, I'd rather be relevant and deal with some ups and downs. That's living. And so, like I say, I know what our players were saying, right? Which isn't that they didn't want to play or they weren't happy to come back with 24 teams. It was, how do we come back with the same odds we left with? And if we can't, we can't. But I I don't know if it makes them look. If anybody thinks anybody looks bad, it's probably because they don't understand.
Mm-hmm. They're going to forget about it the first game anyway when you go out there and kick ass. That's all that matters. Go ahead, Andy. Last one for you. We got the last one for you. We appreciate your time, by the way.
Hey, who have you become close with in hockey circles in the National Hockey League? Like, if you want to pick up the phone and talk to another owner or an executive,
talk to my boy Lou.
Who are you? He played for Jersey. Who are you tight with?
I don't know if I'm tight with anybody, but I have a lot of respect for a lot of people. Lou's definitely one of them. I really respect that guy. I think he's really good at this, and I really like him. But I don't know. There's a lot of people. I like talking to different people at different teams and different organizations at all levels, because I think you can learn something, whether it's the owner, an assistant GM, a coach, or a scout. So if I run into anybody that's in the hockey business, I love to hear their thoughts and ask them questions, but there's no I don't have a bestie or anything.
A bestie.
Near do I.
Yeah. Joel Evanson writes in, he'd like a 5-year contract extension, so let's go ahead and get that done, okay?
We'd love to have him. I hope he wants to stay.
He didn't write in, but we love Joel.
Yeah.
How'd that trade go down with St. Louis, by the way, with Justin Falk? I prefer to avoid people in the last year of their contracts. I think as an organization, the idea of losing an asset for nothing is something we think about a lot, right? And some people say, let's go for it. And some people do it the way we did it. And that was it, is we couldn't get a deal done. And we ended up finding a deal that seemed to make sense for everybody. And so that's how it went down. But, there's wasn't trades aren't really that. It's no different than what everybody thinks, right? It's pretty simple, right? Like, there's not much to these trades.
Oh, we get it.
Like when someone like looks really smart or really dumb for a trade, always makes me laugh, or for a draft pick, right? It's a little bit of random. Like it's like, we're not really smart that we won the lottery and Svechnikov was sitting there, right? Like we were playing catch.
I've always thought you were smart, by the way.
And you sound
I
smart.
wish.
Hey, by the way, Cam normally drops an F-bomb every other word on this podcast.
That's respect, baby.
And this is the first time that he hasn't cursed, Tom. So whatever you did, I don't know if he was scared of you.
Well, yeah.
I don't know what it was.
He reminds me of Lou in a way. So we have behavior.
Lou, he intimidates me. Did he intimidate you a little bit?
Are
Lou?
you kidding me? Did he intimidate
for sure.
me? Oh, that guy, I look up to him like no other. He's very, very intimidating, 130-pound man. The most intimidating.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, he's
sweet, right?
He's
sweet.
He's kind.
Like a nice,
he's kind.
Good. Yes, he's kind.
He's
I
kind.
agree with you.
Yeah, but he makes you disciplined, and I definitely needed that.
Yeah. Tom, we can't thank you enough, man. Yeah. And all the best. I hope to meet you in person.
Yeah.
I've seen you at the draft a couple times. And I'm going to come up and say hello. You got a great story.
Great story, man.
And we wish you nothing but the best.
Right.
Congrats on everything you've done with Carolina the last couple of years in a short period of time. And
love to see you in a final.
Best of luck in the 2014 format.
Love to see you in a final.
I know, we need it.
Yeah, let's go, baby.
And
We're
if you
excited.
win it all, I'm going to remind you weren't crazy about the format.
Yeah, well, no, I'm happy with it now. It's done, so we're there. All right,
thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
All
Seriously.
the best, man. Appreciate it.
Enjoyed it. Thanks a lot.
You got it. Bye. Tom Dundon, we just want to throw it out there. Now, I know he's got a budget for what he pays his guys, but we'd like to maybe work out a deal. We can maybe stay here and be ambassadors for the Carolina Hurricanes.
I told him, I'm your attention
We're
whore
on
that
his,
you need.
We're like his advisors.
Like you don't chirp me to be attention whore.
Yes.
Whenever they're acting like bowling pins after fucking games, I'll be the fucking bowling pin. I'll entertain that whole fucking crowd.
So
baby.
he asked on the podcast, what would you do? And I wanted to save it for off air because, we keep it professional around here. Okay? Even though I'm a big fan of the Carolina Hurricanes, they've got some great young talent, dude. I mean, really good players.
They're gonna be good.
Really good players. You have any advice for him, how you would impact use your business sense, Cam? How would you impact the Carolina Hurricanes?
Oh, he's not paying me, so I'm not going to put that much thought into it. Like, what the fuck am I going to say it now and then he listens to it because he's going to. And then all of a sudden he uses it and he's like, fuck, you're stupid.
All of a sudden they're all wearing Jansen jerseys in warm-up.
No, seriously, what he's doing is fine. I like the...
Do you have a problem with him firing guys right off the bat and all that?
No, man, that's your team.
He's like, dude,
that's your team. What are you doing?
He's like, I live in Dallas and we do a simulcast, so I think we should do a simulcast. Like, who's listening to
you
the
run you run the show.
Yes.
Oh yeah, because he fired
the longtime radio guy, who is a legend.
I know.
And I've met him, and he's really close.
Yeah,
with
but it didn't work. It didn't work.
With a lot of guys who have been around the league for a long. He's tight with them, but he's also looking at it like, okay, well, this is how much money we bring in as an organization, and this is how much is going out. How can we streamline
business, baby?
Yeah.
Business.
Tom Stillman did the same thing in St. Louis, man. He made a bunch of tough decisions.
There's a reason why you're making money.
Yes.
It's because of decisions like that. You look at the numbers and you figure it the fuck out. That's why.
The one thing
That's why
Tom
he's successful.
Stillman does is that I think he does respect the tradition, and the tradition here is a little bit different than what you
over 52
than what you see in Carolina.
Too.
Although Carolina won a cup, but I just you can't ignore or argue the results that they've had with the Carolina Hurricanes since he's taken over.
It's just always cool. I'm just pissed that you don't have a boat. Like, you don't have a fucking boat? Like, get fucking God, have something. God,
we're on his staff now. Like we are on Tom Dundon's staff. We work with this guy.
Oh, here he called me yesterday.
And we got a lot of stuff that we're going to be doing with Tom Dundon coming up.
He just wants to hang out with me. I don't know, he's going to put your fucking ass to work.
No, he wants to. Well, that's fine. I'll do the work.
I know you will.
What are you going to do for him?
Hang out with him and entertain him. I told you he's going to have me over for fucking dinner parties.
But could you imagine in Dallas? You know how much money's in Dallas?
Oh, my God. Oh, you want me to come to a dinner party in Dallas?
Oh, with like Mark Cuban?
Tommy, can I come? I'll be a Tommy. Fuck me.
No, why am I forgetting Jerry Jones?
Oh, he's partying with Jerry Jones.
Oh, Jerry Jones and Mark Cuban.
I want on that yacht, baby. That thing's like 300 foot.
Oh my God.
That's when you know you're
Jerry
a big
Jones?
300 foot.
It's like all the owners in the NFL are doing the draft from like their living room or their office.
How about
He's
the dude
like,
from?
I'm gonna go on my yacht.
How about the Arizona cat? That stud dude that bangs hot ass girls.
I know.
For
He's
a
the
long
coach.
time. That guy's a fucking wheel.
Needs a little. He has like no furniture in his house.
Fucking
He's
tons
just got
of
windows.
money. Handsome, jacked, wheel.
You got to win though, man. You got to win if you're the coach.
Even my wife's like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. He's nobody. He's a drug addict."
That's like my wife asked, like when the Sandstone guys come around. I'm
don't
like,
know them. They all suck.
We don't know the Sandstones here at the normal
They're too
brand.
perfect for you, honey.
Oh my God.
Holy shit. We love them all.
Kennedys.
Fucking Kennedys, but not cursed.
No,
there
they
you
are
go.
not cursed.
Yeah, Jesus, don't call them the Kennedys. They're fucking nasty shit happens. That fucking family.
All right, this has been the Cam and Strick podcast. Thanks for listening.
Yeah,
I want feedback from people though, man. Let's get some feedback. We've got some great episodes coming up, so continue to listen. And who knows, maybe we'll have some hockey to talk about here soon as well. Carshield.com, again, check them out and get your coverage. Make sure you're taken care of and you're doing it right. Again, the phone number is 800-857-2481. Mention the promo code CAM. So embarrassing.
Fucking
dude.
easy. CAM.
So embarrassing.
Well, they can say Andy. They don't even know who you are.
Save
Cam.
10% on carshield.com. Probably save more if you save it. Try that. Say Andy. Let's see if you save more than 10%.
Don't confuse listeners.
No. Cam,
CAM.
10%. And carshield.com. Again, 800-857-2481. We thank all that they do and love the fact that they're supporting the Cam and Strick podcast. Also, gadgetlab.com, gadgetlabmobile.com, or gadgetbuyback.com. I don't want to confuse you. It's Gadget Lab is the name of the company, but the website is gadgetbuyback.com. So get rid of your old phones. What are you doing with your old phones anyway?
Get rid of that bullshit.
Make money for them.
Delete the history first.
Exactly. Is that how you do it?
I throw mine in the fucking Mississippi River.
You want to buy your old phone?
Please don't.
You got a tablet. If you broke
What's Cam been up to?
You broke your phone. Whatever. You know. Sometimes stuff happens over the weekend. You break your phone. Go get it taken care of. Again, gadgetbuyback.com, Bellman.com. Get yourself a new ride. BEHLMANN.com. And, of course, our girl, Renee Howitt.
Hi, girl.
What's
hey,
up
girl.
now? Hey.
Hey, girl.
Hey, Renee.
Renee, what's up, girl?
What's up, girl?
Oh, she's
Renee
badass.
Howitt.
She's a badass right
with
there.
Cope24.com. Cope24.
Love you, girl.
.com. Appreciate all our sponsors.
Yep.
I may go out to Bellman today. I'm thinking about it.
Are you cool enough for an Escalade? I don't
know. The weather's
yet.
got. I'm thinking.
I don't.
My brother-in-law
know
just got the this new Rubicon, man.
brother-in-law.
So I'm like thinking about now I want a Jeep.
Just text me before you buy anything, so you're not embarrassed. Thank you. All
right.
Thanks, guys.
Until next time.